Released back in 2010, Fallout New Vegas is set over 200 years after a devastating nuclear war between the US and China flattened the planet and turned most of the world into a hostile wasteland. Luckily, some of humanity survived by retreating to huge vaults, and the human race carried on. You play as one of those lucky generational survivors who also happens to be a courier. While going about your job delivering a platinum data chip to New Vegas, you are accosted, shot in the head and buried in a shallow grave. What the would-be assassins didn't count on is that you have exceptional luck and the bullet didn't actually kill you. Your body, desperately clinging to life, is found by a Securitron bot named Victor, who promptly takes you to the local doctor known as Doc Mitchell. Once you've been nursed back to health, your quest for answers starts true, starting out with who shot you and why. The story of New Vegas is a simple premise, but it soon expands into a tale of greed, control and political intrigue. As you uncover more about the people behind your foiled premature demise, you start to uncover the plot to gain control of the Hoover Dam, which has been supplying electricity to the entirety of New Vegas. This plot involves some of the big hitting factions in the area, namely the NCR, the New California Republic, a pseudo-political party who want to establish democratic rule for the area, Kaiser's Legion, an organised militia who have modelled themselves on the edicts of ancient Rome, and Mr. House, an eccentric businessman with a robot army. It's an old cliche, but the story in New Vegas is like an onion crossed with a pit bull. It's got layers on layers, and once it gets hold of you, it doesn't let go. Once you think you know something, that surety is thrown into turmoil as you discover something else. It's this constant bombardment of revelations and whether to trust them or not that makes the story so great. The amount of factions and their particular motivations make you really think about your next move. Every decision counts. Obsidian have weaved a story perfectly suited to the Fallout franchise, one you won't forget in a hurry.
You've made your last delivery, kid. Sorry you got twisted up in this scene.
Bethesda turned over development of New Vegas to Obsidian and gave them the rather measly timeline of 18 months to complete it. A lot of assets from Fallout 3 were reused, and consequently New Vegas's graphics have a face only their mother could love. The game is not pretty, textures are rough, pop-in is ever present, and just overall graphical fidelity is poor. Character models have not fared any better, facial expressions are choppy and lip syncing is rough in places. I would like to be able to tell you that animation are a saving grace, but sadly these are quite wooden. The third person mode is almost comical. Despite the graphical shortcomings, the atmosphere of the game is excellent. Everything is broken, grimy and depressing, just as a post-apocalyptic setting should be. Everywhere seems dangerous and you find yourself wanting to get out of open spaces in case something or someone decides to attack you, only to realise the same goes for built-up areas too. The game does a good job of making you feel on edge. Despite the graphics, immersion is excellent. However, one thing that does snap you out of that immersion is the performance. I suffered some stuttery frame rates that got so bad I had to reload the game to rectify them, and the game crashed to Windows a lot, which wasn't fun. New Vegas is one of those games where the art direction does the heavy lifting the graphics can't. The alternate timeline 50s style really appeals to me. It reminds me of those archaic black and white sci-fi movies that TV used to show on a Sunday afternoon, but despite the excellent art direction, New Vegas's graphics are not great and score 15 out of 25. Fallout New Vegas is an open-world action RPG with a heavy tilt towards exploration, discovery and character development. Like its predecessor Fallout 3, New Vegas drops you in an open world, lets you pick some character traits, straps a Pip-Boy to your arm, points you in a rough direction and lets you get on with it. If you want to, you can stick around the start area, a small town called Good Springs, and this will act as a tutorial area, but hanging around and helping out the residents here is not mandatory. It's a nice way of introducing you to the game systems before you venture forth. As a setting, the Mojave Desert is less dense than Fallout 3's capital wasteland. Being a desert, points of interest are more spaced out, but it is a style that fits the game. How much you like this setting will be down to your attention span. Personally, I like this realistic take on the area, but if your interest starts to wane if you aren't seeing new stuff on a regular basis, then you may enjoy it less. However, the gaps between POIs become less of a problem due to the good fast travel system. You can travel to any location you've discovered before right from your Pip-Boy. It also helps with missions that send you here, there and everywhere. Like Fallout 3 before it, New Vegas's combat is a mix of melee and shooting. The Vault-Tec assisted targeting system, or VATS for short, has made a return and is largely unchanged. When faced with a foe, you can enter VATS mode, which dramatically slows time, allowing you to target certain body parts and take out a limb or two. This limits their ability to attack or kills them outright. VATS brings a new dimension to gun battles and can certainly help you out when facing multiple foes. It can become a little OP, so if you want to keep the challenge challenging, you might consider using VATS sparingly. It is a fun game mechanic though, and I'm glad it's returned in New Vegas. Shooting has seen some refinement since Fallout 3. You can now look down the sights of your gun and zoom in a bit, making aiming outside of VATS easier and more fun. Although gunplay is obviously not on the level of a dedicated FPS, it's robust enough to be enjoyable, which is good as you'll be doing a lot of it. Melee combat has also seen some improvements over Fallout 3. It's a lot more viable to do a playthrough as a melee character. I personally didn't invest much time in melee, but the time I did spend using a weapon that didn't shoot was absolutely fine. Alongside solid combat, all RPGs need good role playing, and this is where New Vegas excels. There are a ton of ways you can play this game depending on how you distribute your talent points, what perks you pick and what tactics in combat you wish to favour. When you're revived by Doc Mitchell, you get the opportunity to set up all the base stats for your character. You get a number of points that you can plough into the special system, which stands for strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence and luck. These attributes are adjusted between 1 and 10 and dictate how proficient you are in certain skills. These skills are the next thing you can adjust and drill down into more specific things like speech, repair, stealth, etc. Finally, you get to pick some traits. These are like buffs but have a downside too, so must be selected carefully depending on what your playstyle favours. It's this huge build variety that makes New Vegas stand out. Each playstyle feels different and affects how you complete each of the game's main and side quests. As you progress through the game, you'll also get the chance to pick a perk every other level. These perks can further augment your character's abilities in certain skill areas. Some even give you the opportunity to add a point or two to the special attributes you set at the start of the game. It's an excellent progression system and a lot of fun to see your character turn from a bumbling newbie to an expert death dealer. The main missions are the meat on the bones of New Vegas. Interacting with the game's main factions keeps you on your toes and makes you question your every move. Early in the game, it's easy to come to the conclusion that these are the good guys and these are the bad, but it's not so simple. Obsidian have cleverly weaved these factions to operate in the grey area of your conscience. Choices are thrown at you thick and fast and will affect the outcome of the game in some subtle or not so subtle ways. It's this great interplay of story and game that makes New Vegas so enjoyable. In a lot of games, side quests are a way of padding out the game and offering a bit more value to the player, but side quests in New Vegas are exceptionally good, arguably as good as the main quest line. A lot of them start out as seemingly straightforward tasks, then suddenly blossom into a more intricate tale with multiple storylines. I really enjoyed the side quests in New Vegas. For a change, I didn't feel like I was being sent on a wild goose chase because the developers needed to fill the game. They felt meaningful and the characters you meet on them felt fleshed out with their own thoughts and motivations. Gameplay in Fallout New Vegas is an absorbing mix of action and role-playing. It makes you think about the choices you make, but not so deeply that you're left ruminating on them. You can enjoy moment-to-moment play too. It has intelligently designed game systems that are great to play within, and above all else it's fun to play. Gameplay in Fallout New Vegas scores a well-deserved 25 out of 25.
Alright, I'll just get my scalpel here, and did I leave that sitting outside? Well, you know what? Free tetanus shot. Hey there.
Audio in New Vegas is generally good. Ambient music while you're travelling the Mojave Wasteland does a good job of adding tension every step you take and ramps up to even more stress-inducing levels when you encounter enemies. The music you hear broadcast over the game's many radios scattered around are also fitting and add to the game's Wild West atmosphere. In Fallout 3, one of my enduring memories will always be the iconic opening sequence where you hear "I don't want to set the world on fire" by the Ink Spots, and for me, New Vegas is missing that goosebump inducing element to its sound design. It's a minor gripe as the soundtrack to New Vegas is still solid. Voice acting is also good quality. I wouldn't say there are many weak links here. The cast all deliver their lines well and with feeling, even the non-human NPCs. One thing I wasn't expecting in New Vegas was the humour on display. Several times I found myself laughing at the delivery of a dry witty line or some of the gallows humour that runs through parts of the dialogue. It was an unexpected but welcome addition. The writing in New Vegas is top drawer, and audio in New Vegas scores 23 out of 25.
Hi, human. Why you come here?
Fallout New Vegas is huge. If you run straight through the story, you're looking at 35 hours, and if you want to see and do everything, you're looking at well over 100. Add to that the fact there are multiple endings and loads of different alternate paths to take when completing missions, and you could comfortably spend many hundreds of hours in the Mojave Wastelands. And if that wasn't enough wasteland wandering for you, there's also 4 story-based DLCs available. Bearing in mind Fallout New Vegas is so cheap to buy now, value is currently phenomenal and scores a meaty 25 out of 25. Fallout New Vegas has rightfully earned its place as one of the best roleplay games ever. It's a deep, well thought out game that is a joy to play. It's even more amazing when you consider how quickly it was made. I don't know what they were putting in the water at Obsidian HQ at the time, but whatever it was, it worked. New Vegas is not without its problems. The graphics will make your eyes water and the crashes will make you tear your hair out. But despite these failings, the game is a must play and scores 88 out of 100.
War. War never changes.